Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Monmouth County. My name is Angie Morfogan, and my pronouns are she, her. I serve as chair of the Aesthetics Committee, and I'm also a member of the Worship Committee. The Aesthetics Committee brings art shows and keeps this place looking great. The Worship Committee brings you these wonderful programs. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you have arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. Our mission is to create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. This morning we welcome a guest speaker. The Reverend Alan Wells is a Buddhist teacher, UU minister, and pastoral counselor. He graduated from the Integrated Study Practice Program of the Barre Center for Buddhist Studies, the Divinity School of the University of Chicago, and the Institute of Religion and Health in New York City. He is a member of the Morristown UU Fellowship, teaches at 2 local Buddhist sanghas, and maintains a mindfulness-based psychotherapy practice in Morristown. As a minister, Alan has served UU congregations in Massachusetts, New York, and U.S. Virgin Islands. Also, he has served as Director of Religious Education in Morristown and in Lincroft. Also this morning, we welcome our musicians. Evan Schwartzman, pianist and composer, received his master's in theory and composition from Rutgers University. As a pianist, he has given recitals as a soloist and chamber musicians throughout the New York metropolitan region. His work can be found on CGNJ Recordings, Smithsonian Folkways Recordings, and all the usual streaming services. And also we have our own talented Joel DeWitt, who needs no introduction. I draw your attention to the back of your orders of service for announcements and service information for next week. For those of you on the live stream and for video viewers, the order of service link is available to you in the YouTube service description box. Following the story wisdom, kids are invited to join Emma Farkas for Sunday Fun Day, games, crafts, and getting to know each other, and most importantly, having fun while in the community. After the service, those gathered in person are welcome to visit one another. Refreshments will be served in the community room, and people of all ages are welcome to visit one another. If you are new to us, please do visit our website, uucmc.org, where you can sign up to get all the latest news of the congregation by email. We look forward to getting to know you better. Please put your devices on silent as we enter into worship together. Welcome again to this place of love and hope. And now remain seated for the music provided by Evan Schwartzman.
I would travel down here just for the music. Thank you. And it is good to be back. I will say back here because it feels to me very familiar. I'm lucky to have had the opportunity to speak to you on several summers, and each time I come back, I have memories. This year, I wanted a place that was cool to park, so I parked in the back, and then looked over to the end of the religious education wing, remembering the room that, maybe it was for 4 years old, I'm not sure, that I slept in very often when I would come down for a long weekend of RE. So it's good to be here. We will begin the rest of our service by lighting our chalice. For those of us who are Unitarian Universalists, we may be familiar with the origin. If those are people who are guests with us this morning, you may not know that the chalice arose as a symbol of the Unitarian Service Committee as it helped to rescue people from Nazi Germany. There was a need for a symbol that symbolized, that was recognized so people would know who to contact, but a symbol that had a universal sense of appeal to it. And so what was chosen was flaming chalice. The chalice is an offering, may it be an offering of warmth as well to all of those who are cold and alone, a light to those in darkness, an inspiration that lights our way for justice in the world, a beacon of hope to those who are in need. May it reflect a spark of truth whenever truth has been lost, and cast a shadow of doubt whenever truth has been found. May its warmth symbolize the warmth within us that expresses itself as love for self, for others, and for the natural world. I invite us to sing together. It's a very short song, but I understand it's familiar, and it gives voice to an eloquent question. Where do we come from? It's a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we doing? I wanted a story for all ages that would be fitting to this morning's theme. Couldn't find one, so I went to GPT 3.5 to see what it could offer, and it was an interesting experiment. And what I got was the quest for truth about Milo. Once upon a time, in a cozy village nestled between rolling hills and whispering streams, there lived a curious youngster named Milo. Milo had a mind that always buzzed with questions. What makes the stars twinkle? He wondered. Why do birds sing at dawn? One day, Milo decided he wanted to find the greatest treasure of all, the truth. He asked the elders in the village, "Where can I find the truth?" The wise old owl, perched on a gnarled oak tree, hooted softly, "Seek within yourself, Milo." So Milo searched within himself. He meditated by the babbling brook and climbed to the tallest hill to watch the sunrise. But try as he might, the truth seemed to elude him. Frustrated, he sat down under a weeping willow tree and sighed heavily. "I give up," Milo muttered sadly, feeling defeated. Just then, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves above him. Suddenly, a small, glowing figure appeared before him. It was truth itself, dancing in the flickering of the leaves, shimmering with a soft, radiant light. "Why did you give up, Milo?" Truth asked kindly. "I searched everywhere for you," Milo replied with a sigh. "I looked in books, I asked the wise, I even searched within myself, but I couldn't find you." Truth smiled warmly. "Sometimes the harder you look for me, the harder I become to find. But I'm always here, waiting for you to stop your searching and simply be open to me." Milo blinked in surprise. "So you mean I needed to stop searching?" "In a way," Truth nodded. "You see, I reside in moments of stillness, in moments of wonder, and in moments when you least expect me. I am not something to be found, but something to be embraced when you are ready." Milo understood. He realized that Truth was not a treasure hidden away, but a companion on his journey through life. From that day on, Milo stopped chasing after Truth, and instead he embraced each moment with curiosity and an open heart. And whenever Milo felt unsure or lost, he remembered the day when Truth appeared to him under the weeping willow tree. He smiled, knowing that he didn't need to search far and wide for Truth, because Truth was always here, waiting patiently for him to discover it in the quiet moments of his life. So we will sing our children to their classes. If not children, we'll sing to our inner child. Now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Every week in this congregation, we are provided with an opportunity. Can you hear me? Okay. Every week in this congregation, we are provided with an opportunity to practice generosity. This is your invitation to contribute to the well-being of our congregation. For those of you present here in the meeting house, the plates will be passed by the ushers. You may also join this time of generosity via text, send your offering by mail, or charge your contribution online. Please give generously.
My life began to change a lot for the better when I began to realize that it's all meaningless. Now, I'd probably better explain this sentiment because a few of you may be wondering, why then am I listening to this talk? You may have come to this place for the very purpose of finding life's meaning. And if so, I'm very sympathetic with your search. Throughout my life, I found myself teased by a quote that one of my respected colleagues printed on his UU congregation's every newsletter, which read, "We are given life to find its meaning." The search for meaning is a noble quest, symbolized nowhere more honorably than the arduous journey of Hermann Hesse's spiritual aspirant, Siddhartha. And that journey was an inspiration, and still is, to me. But for my early years, I've just wondered about the source of things. What's behind the scenes? In college, I pursued a double major in philosophy and psychology, trying to find out why we are here and what we should do now that we are. I pursued physics for the same reason, to try to discover how the universe really works. My commitment has been intense. There were times that I would resonate with Albert Camus, who declared, "The literal meaning of life is whatever you're doing that prevents you from killing yourself." I wanted to know, what should I live for and why? In my early days in the Presbyterian Sunday school, I was particularly troubled by the unjust death of Jesus. Why, I wondered, along with Rabbi Kushner, do bad things happen to good people? Why do people suffer? Why is life unfair? I enrolled at the University of Chicago and the Unitarian Theological School in an attempt to find answers. I didn't know if I wanted to be a minister, but I knew I wanted to pursue further study. I wanted to do something, though, that was useful while I was studying with my time in some helpful ways for society. So at that time, I also committed myself to working for economic equity, for racial justice, and justice, period. In fact, I got fired from my first congregation for my stand against the Vietnam War. Later, I took up pastoral counseling to learn more about how individuals travel this life's journey. Alas, the political and economic world didn't rise to my ideals. I particularly think of them this morning as the news broke about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. I, at that time, myself witnessed the assassination of the most probable leaders of our time: Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, JFK, RFK. I became somewhat disabused with the directive of Theodore Parker that Martin Luther King oftentimes quoted, that the arc of the universe is long, but that it leads to justice. In response to these shortcomings of our social network, I doubled down on my inner search for meaning. Eventually, I stumbled across a Buddhist meditation practice. I became an arduous student of the practice, and I followed a number of teachers. I was persistent, hoping to find the deepest explanation of all, and then I gave up. I realized I'd been pursuing an irresolvable paradox and entangling ourselves and an unanswerable question. I began to see that making meaning the basis for living a worthwhile life is going about things exactly backwards. I know that Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, Friedrich Nietzsche wrote that he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But I began to realize that it's the reverse. If you know how to live, you don't know why. Because every why will eventually lead to a because, and every because will eventually entreat another why. So I began to take seriously the suggestion of a favorite folk song of mine whose words proclaim, the answer to the question is the answer to. Now, I don't mean to dismiss my own journey, or certainly that of others on this noble search. Searching for meaning is, in fact, an evolutionary pursuit, I think, born from the human need to find security in the face of the unknown. For me, the search for meaning, I would have to admit, still remains a native impulse. I can sit on my front porch, as I did recently, and observe a butterfly flitting on the rose bush by the wall. And I impulsively and immediately began to ascribe meaning to this event. For example, well, it means that there are at least some monarch butterflies not yet extinguished. Or, this sighting furthers my feeling of this being such a delightful evening. Or, maybe I should plant more milkweed. I could even stretch the meaning of sighting that butterfly further. I could figure that if I can better attend to the ecology of my yard, it will become more butterfly friendly. Not only that, developing my yard might also increase my property value. But then I must consider, do I wish to sell or not? My meaning making could stretch out indefinitely. In this sort of mundane example of my grasping for meaning, you can see that I evaluated naturally the worth of this precious event by how it connects with all other circumstances. And I completely siphoned the significance of this one beautiful butterfly and its momentary, precious flight landing in front of me on my rose bush. There's an etymological problem, unfortunately, that is built into the very word meaning. The word meaning alone is meaningless. It's helpless. It can't stand alone. It's a linguistic orphan. It depends entirely upon being connected with something else. I feel so sorry for this word because it cannot exist without a referent. So what we do is we are always asked to help the word out by a supportive conjunction. So we speak about the meaning of, the meaning for something, or the meaning to someone, or the meaning of something. The trouble is that this need to always find a referent unavoidably distracts us from our immediate present connection. It contributes to a feeling even of being alone in the world because it disconnects us from what is real right now. It arouses us a need to repurpose, to make more of everything, to get something from this, to make something out of this, that. everything we experience then becomes only instrumental and is a means only to something else. And this is a real loss. If we are severed from the intrinsic sense of value in our present experience, we are left with a sense of deficiency. We need to have more. We must make sense. We hunger for something greater than what we have. We become ever more unsatisfiable. And the final disaster that inevitably develops from our search for meaning is that we are left feeling so alone and alienated, because the end of the line referent finally becomes a separated, independent, and isolated me. The search for meaning eventually requires that I see myself as the final arbiter of everything, the judge of everything, the meaning maker, the result of things, the cause of things, the nature of all things, and at the center of all things. The eventual conclusion of our search for meaning will always be that the meaning of the universe is ultimately about me. But subtract me from being the central reference point of everything, and the whole system of interpretive disconnection falls apart, and we become whole again, because the universe has no referent. It does not have a center. And even if it did, I rather doubt that it would be me. The universe is simply what it is. There's no need to take it further. In the words of poet James Broughton, this is it, and I am it, and you are it, and so is that, and he is it, and she is it, and it is it, and that is that. What that is the essence of life. It's the oneness, it's the spontaneity, it's the flow, the freedom, the creativity, and the mystery. So I think it can just be meaningless. What a relief, really, to understand this. In the story of Alice in Wonderland, the King of Hearts affirms the relaxation and freedom that results from this epiphany. He declares, if there's no meaning in it, that saves a world of trouble, you know? So we need not have to find any. But most of us, for most of the time, do not take the advice of the King of Hearts too seriously. Instead, we experience ourselves as living outside the universe, trying to figure it out from the outside in, which is not possible, because the universe is larger than we are, and we cannot get outside it to make a judgment. The truth is that we are living within a complex, marvelous universe, and we can waste a full lifetime if we're not present to every experience fully. I think to ask what is the meaning of life is a lot now, as I see it, like asking a wise fish to articulate the meaning of the ocean. It's just not the proper perspective for the fish. Excuse me. It's a question that only the ocean can answer. And why would it want to? The ocean is not seeking meaning. Once a few of us were fortunate to have had lunch with the respected mythologist Joseph Campbell at his favorite restaurant on the Upper East Side. And he declared rather succinctly to all of us, he said these words, he said, life is not a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be lived. When we leave aside a need for meaning making, everything springs into precious sense of a worthwhileness, unique and immediately precious. Washing dishes, sitting on the toilet, smiling, grimacing, tending a wound, winking, scratching, arguing, even the act of dying, and of course, being moment by moment aware that we are all marvelously conscious. It all becomes astoundingly precious. A choice between meaning-making and inherent connection infuses all our experience. The more we seem to grasp after meaning, the more we distance ourselves from the inherent worth of anything. So, I think, relatively speaking, life is meaningless. But absolutely speaking, it is all of infinite worth. It's so very tempting, though, to live apart from what immediately is. Excuse me. We can distract ourselves even by picking up a pen, and faster than the blink of an eye, I can attribute meaning to this event. Oh, this reminds me that I'm ready to write. I am prepared, or I'm creative, or I'm inspired, or perhaps I'm relieved to have found my favorite pen, which I thought I'd lost. We have to be very attentive and very careful. In an instant, I know I can entangle myself in webs of meaning that can stretch far and wide until I've completely forgotten that I set out to write a note. As psychologist Carl Rogers has warned us, the trouble is, he said, we think we are transcending our environment by thinking more wisely, but our transcendence is limited to our thinking. We UUs are a bit susceptible to this scholastic trap, I believe, because we consider ourselves to be kind of smart. There's a joke about a broad-minded Christian. He went to heaven, but he couldn't locate any of his UU friends. So he looked all around. Then he discovered an information booth and asked an angel, where could he find the UUs? The angel whispered, hey, they're all in the library by the entrance. They all decided they would rather engage in a discussion about heaven than actually be present for this experience. Now, that's not to disparage us UUs or certainly not our intelligence in our searching, but it's only perhaps to warn us that we may obscure the end for which we are actually searching by our envelopment in this search. The end is more intimate, I think, than anything we can imagine. Each event and each moment is precious, and it's on its own. If I've learned anything through all my searching, it is that the end for which I have searched is closer than I ever believed. Now my goal is to get from there to here. And now I can understand T.S. Eliot's dictum that we shall not, he said, we shall not seek from exploration, and all of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and to know the place for the first time. Because each and every moment is really ultimately precious. If we were to calibrate our life in expectancy in minutes, we would have on the average approximately 42 million opportunities for living a worthwhile life. I'm not there yet, but I have glimpses of how wonderful it can be to live in the flow of life without extra worry. How wonderful it can be to strive for social justice and economic equity as one might venture into creating an artistic production, carve a sculpture, sing a song, or choreograph a dance. How wonderful it could be to act for a better world as one might join a dance instead of submitting to a compulsive crusade. When we are connected, we know so much. When we are witnessing for justice, when we're feeding the hungry, or holding the hand of someone in pain, we do not need to search for meaning. Yes, this is it. As James Broughton said, this is it, and I am it, and you are it, and so is that, and he is it, and she is it, and it is it, and that is that. What I think I know now, that a life lived intimately with this and that is of ultimate worth and very precious. So some words about my search and my lack of search. And I wonder if you might have some comments or wisdom or experiences or anything to share. I mean, one of the, I'll say, glories of UUism for me is that we are together in a combined community, and we can call it a search, we can call it a listening to each other, we can call it a learning, we can call it a celebration, but it's something to which each of us contributes. So I've contributed my little piece this morning, but I wonder if you have any thoughts or comments. Yeah, Bob.
My name is Bill Wilson. I'm a former president of this congregation.
Phil, sorry, I meant to say Bob by mistake.
And I was drawn immediately to the T.S. Eliot quote, and that, I believe, was from Little Giddings, T.S. Eliot's work.
Yes, I'm not sure.
And I'm particularly drawn to your words today, and I agree wholeheartedly. And the search for meaning is very simple from my perspective, because, and my pronoun is not he, my pronoun is what I believe everyone's pronoun is. One, O-N-E. We are all one. We are part of a holographic universe. And there is another quotation by Jacob Bohm, who's a very famous physicist, that the flip side of being a member of a holographic universe is that the universe is part of you. So there is nothing we are not intimately connected with. We are all one. And in answer to the question you posed as to where do we come from, we are all pure spirit. And our journey is a journey to wholeness, to become pure spirit again. So if you look at it from that perspective, we're all part of a holographic universe. We are all one. End of story. And we are all intimately connected with everyone else. And the Unitarians are not just waiting at the door of the library. I believe we are all born Unitarian Universalists and just don't know it. And as we become more enlightened, we become aware of that fact, and it's what makes our community so strong and so different from every other religion on earth, and I share your educational journey also.
Thank you, Phil, for your sharing of your experience and your wisdom. Yeah.
What you said reminded me of a quotation from Keats, John Keats. Unfortunately, died when he was 26. But he said that this world is the schoolhouse for soul making. And I think your words brought that thought to my mind.
I'm happy that occurred.
Hi, my name is Sarah. Many years ago, I found myself in an ashram, and I was in the audience of a Swami. And
I'm sorry, Doug. Where did you find yourself?
In an ashram, an Indian ashram. Yeah. And so I was in this audience. The Swami was holding court, so to speak. And at the end of it, you know, he asked if there were any questions, and I thought, well, yeah. So I asked him, what is the meaning of life? And his answer was, the meaning of life is to live. And at the time, I was not very impressed.
Yeah.
It was
one word.
But the more I think about it, perhaps that really says it all. I don't know, but I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Virginia, and I wanted to, I was very surprised by this when I saw, yes. Oh, sorry. Excuse me, this is Virginia. I was surprised when I saw by GPT your story about Milo, and I thought, oh, an AI taking over again. But I was so delighted with it. It really spoke to me, and I appreciate it. And just rolling it around in my mind, it made me think that not just the beautiful content of the story, but maybe we're misunderstanding AI. We're all a little afraid of it, and yet the authorship, as I understand it, of GPT is really millions and millions of people, all added together, all their ideas, all their words, and maybe there's a different way at looking at entering into this AI age that's coming, because this was truly beautiful, and it is oneness.
Yeah, just to respond briefly, I think it can contribute a lot, although it's like any teacher, you have to make sure you trust that teacher, and AI can lie, and it can pull things together that are not true, so it's behoves us to be careful, right? But it can combine a lot of thoughts of the whole, all of humanity, basically. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen.
Hey, Karen.
Thank you for that. The thoughts that came to me, and I'm very grateful for, were present moment, wonderful moment. And, you know, we get so busy with experiences that we sometimes forget to just stay there in that moment. And so that's what I take from this, and it really calmed me. I could feel a physical calming from that. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very simple, I guess. Don't let your mind wander.
Hi, I'm Denise. Half the time I'm worrying about the meaning of life, and the other half I'm saying, whatever. And people get very, very angry when I say whatever. But to me, it is the epitome of what you spoke about today, and it gives me peace. And I hope that I soon spend most of my time saying whatever and not thinking about the meaning of life. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Steve Knowlton. I was born a Unitarian. And I found over time that I got more involved in Unitarian and business and helping with the Unitarian Church congregation, and then with the Sierra Club, and having something to contribute without feeling like I had to change the world myself. But it's helpful to feel I belong to a place.
That's a wonderful journey. Thank you. Oh, in the way far back, it looks like.
Okay, we have time for one more.
Hi, I'm Allison. I was thinking of Kurt Vonnegut's book, and I had to look it up, Wampeters, Foma, and Granfalloons. And I believe it's Granfalloons that were identified as a proud but meaningless association of people. And I thought, as I was listening to you speak, we always have to have a meaning for doing something. Well, what's the occasion? Why are we gathering? Is it a birthday, an anniversary? It's life. We don't need a reason. We just celebrate.
Thank you. Thank you so much for contributing to the discussion, and maybe we'll have words to share after the conclusion of the service, over coffee and refreshments. Oh. So what an interesting selection of music to follow right now from John Cage. And he's going to actually play, not just sit at the piano and turn his pages. It's like dressing at the airport. I invite us all to take a moment to join in a short period of quiet, of prayer, of reflection, of awareness of what it means to have the gift of being together here this morning in this congregation where we can explore together our life's journey. Where we can be of support to one another in times that are very uncertain and unclear. Let us hold in our hearts ourselves and all those who are feeling anxious and uprooted by the events of yesterday's attempted assassination. And may we, in this very short period of quiet, like Milo, just open, and see what arises within us as our next step. What leads us to where we wish to go? What, if you will, calls us onward? Knowing that it is possible in our cherished freedom and in our open hearts to always know a way. Just a moment of quiet together. So be it. Amen. Blessed be. I invite us to sing together. 354, we laugh, we cry. Someone here which way can belong into the things of them. We call our very own, and we believe in life and in the found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we give our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. The child is born among us, and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey here, which the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and heart to the spirit of this child, and we believe is an answer. Your eyes are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die when our lives are done. The earth you leave, at the age of very young, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. The end of the earth is there, and we have peace with it, and we believe that living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to a question. Seek to put an end to all waste of human strife. Search for truth, quality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together. And we may be seated. We will extinguish this flame in our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. As we extinguish this flame, let our service to the world and ourselves begin. And I invite you to remain seated for the postlude which will follow. me.